Fire Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 49 of The Size Up. And kind of cool, this is the last episode that will be out for 2023, which is kind of crazy that, we dropped the relaunch this year and we have not missed a Tuesday yet. And I'm really hoping that this one comes out next Tuesday, because then I would be lying if I said that and it was wrong. But, day after Christmas, anything's possible. I got my Dropkick Murphys Christmas sweatshirt on because I figured why not? You only get to wear it a couple weeks in the year, so I may as well throw it on here. And two, with that, before I get into my guests, just a huge thank you to everybody that listens, everybody that sponsored this year, all the companies I got to work with, all the people for your messages. Obviously the guys at National Fire Radio, Jeremy for giving me the opportunity, Seb for all the work that he does on the back end of this. And he is also probably the biggest part of getting this thing out every Tuesday, because Seb does all the editing, he does all the posting. When we've had computery type problems, Seb has stayed up late nights while I was in bed sleeping to fix them, so the episode came out on Tuesday. So thank you to you guys and show them some love. So before I could talk about that all day. Let me get to my guest, because this dude and I have been friends for, I don't know, probably going on like 6 or 7 years now, I think, because he's a Jersey guy from a totally different area of Jersey. But my man Jim, and I always mess up your last name because I have another friend that's exactly the same. So I call you Jim Grauel, and that's close, but you say it a little differently, right?
Yeah, Grauel.
Grauel. It is. I have a Grauel, you're a Grauel, and I can never get it right. Like, I should think of Dave Grohl, actually. But how are you today, man?
Yes, that's the perfect way to say it, actually. I'm doing great. Happy. I love the shirt, Dropkick Murphys. We got that in common. Love that.
I think we were at a show together and we didn't even know it once. I think we were at a Stone Pony show together, and afterwards realized that we were both there and didn't realize it.
It was the first concert I brought my sons to. It was a great concert.
Really, that the Dropkick Murphys was their first show?
Yes,
like
both
that, or at least
same time. Yeah, yep.
That's a great show to bring them to too, because it's just such a good crowd and they're such a good live band.
Absolutely, they brought it, and they were so happy, and so was I. We brought the concert poster. I actually have that on my living room wall.
You have to, right? Like my sons, so their first like kind of punk rock type show was or punk rock ska show was the Interrupters and Flogging Molly. And they got the t-shirts, and they still rock the t-shirts, although it's getting a little young on Finn right now, so he's going to be able to rock that much longer.
Well, funny you mentioned music. I think the last time I saw you, we weren't actually at a concert, but I guess we were, right? You were down on vacation.
I was down your way, vacationing in your town, which we're going to get into. And any chance you get to hear Ja Rule live, you just have to kind of take it, right?
Exactly. We kind of had nosebleed section seats, and he sounded just as good from your condo.
It's pretty awesome. So Jim is a retired fire captain here from the good old state of New Jersey, but a very different part of New Jersey. And Wildwood, New Jersey is a very special place to most folks in New Jersey, and the folks, I would say, in the greater Philadelphia region of the United States. And maybe no one else has ever heard of it before. Is that a correct statement?
I don't know, man. I feel I've been doing a little bit of travel now post-retirement, and every town that I go to, somebody knows about Wildwood, and it's a great story. It's crazy if you ask me. Small town by size, but huge in reach. And everyone either has been here or knows someone has been here, and it's just amazing to still live here.
And you were born and raised in Wildwood, right?
No, I wasn't born here. I was born actually in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and came down here. Pretty much went through the school system though, from like junior high on. So I not born, but definitely raised, and met my best friends down here. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. So just for everyone too, like, again, that may never have heard of Wildwood, or at least know someone that went there, what's the whole demographic down there? Because a shore town is a unique place anywhere in the country, but New Jersey, I feel like it's even more unique and more special.
So everyone, it's a beach town, right? And if you ask me, we have the best beaches around. There's nothing like our sand. You go to Florida, you go to the Caribbean, and you put your feet in the sand there, and it's kind of like gritty. It's you can't describe it unless you've actually been to Wildwood. Yes, the beaches are super long, and you might need to stop for a water break along the way. But once you get down to the water's edge, it's amazing. And so it's a shore town. We are pretty much I should say a sleepy town for half of the year. You know, our population's only like 5 to 10,000 in Wildwood, but then there's Wildwood Crest and North Wildwood. They're each about 5,000 to 6,000 each. But then, you know, most of the better part of the year, we're anywhere from a couple 100,000 people on any given weekend and most of the summer. So the challenges that are faced in major metropolitan areas, we see them down here, just with a better view and honestly more challenges because being at the beach, we do have an additional, additional challenges that we can get into later with, responding to open water rescues and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the things too, and on the emergency services end, is again, you guys aren't crowded. You know, you're not over 100,000 people 365 days a year. So that in and of itself presents a challenge for staffing, for budgeting, for all those things that just, you know, you don't even think about them when you're in a place like where I am, where, yeah, Rutgers, you know, increases our population 50,000 people, but that's for at this point, I feel like it's year round. You know, the summer definitely dips down in New Brunswick. It's the exact opposite of you guys, but it seems like it's shortened. More of the kids are staying than they were before.
Yeah. You're absolutely right on that with the staffing challenges. What used to be, we used to have seasonal firemen, and I mean we still do, but because of the the staffing challenges, they pretty much now are work on a 24/7 basis, some way, shape, or form. But what was cool about when I first started with the seasonal guys is that I've worked along guys that are now firemen in FDNY, DC. It was Wildwood was kind of like a stepping stone for different fire science programs and colleges around. They would send their freshmen down here. They would spend a summer here and have the best summer of their life, and then move on to the best job in the world. And it was just like it was a good combo. And unfortunately, with the price of real estate and a lot of other things, we don't get as many of those sort of opportunities anymore.
Yeah, I guess it's just the growth, but to think like how great that would be to start your career. You know, it's like best summer job ever. It's kind of like being a lifeguard. You know what I mean? In a way, except you're a firefighter.
100%.
And you got the best of both worlds with being able to assist with beach ocean rescue, which I know you had a huge part of too in your career, and that's a whole different topic to get into, right?
Yeah, it's a whole nother dynamic that we embraced, and we're thankful to have a great work relationship with the beach patrols, but then they depend on us when they're off duty, and it just kind of goes hand in hand. We couldn't do it without them, and thankfully they're there because they're much needed.
So what Jim snuck in there too with Wildwood, if you want to Google it, if you've never heard of Wildwood, New Jersey, is that the beach to get from where the boardwalk is to the actual ocean is a solid 200 yards. I don't know.
At least,
right?
We're able to hold concerts, headlining concerts of 50,000 people on our beach, and still have room on all sides to do everything.
Still have the ocean on the other side. Yeah. So when you see a concert on the beach, folks, you think it's like long. It parallels the shoreline. Wildwood is the exact opposite. It's perpendicular to the shoreline.
Yes, totally. Perfect example.
Which again, I always thought it was cool. You know, my family's vacation there my whole life. I went when I was younger with my parents and family. I brought the boys down there. Obviously, we got to see Ja Rule there in North Wildwood together one night. But it's just one of those great things. And to be able to live there and still enjoy it so much, I feel like that's like one of my favorite traits that you have. Like you live in the place where everybody goes to vacationing, but you love it.
I am beyond grateful for exactly what you just said. In addition to that, I don't just live here. I was able to work here for 25 years in the best job in the world. I was able to ride my bicycle to work, a 4-minute commute, for 25 years. And that, when I tell people that, they're just as astonished as I am for saying it. And I am beyond grateful to say that, to mean it, and to work alongside the best guys in the business.
And by ride his bicycle, he means his beach cruiser with koozie in the front, ready to go in case he needs to go. Because I've met Jim out a few nights where I've been in the area and he's rolled in his bike, and that's just a cool thing about a shore town too. And where you are, where you live at least, and again, we're not talking a very large city here, but you're more away from the tourist section, let's say, right? Or does it not count anymore? It's just tourists everywhere.
On the island, you mean?
Yeah, on the island.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily down, I'm not oceanfront or beachfront like that. So there's hotel wise, yeah, you are correct. But with all the condos, the conversions to condos and stuff, the Airbnbs, there's definitely as many tourists around any given street any time anymore. So
And
that's
that's
cool.
a big thing for you guys too, because the hotel that my parent, I don't know if it was a hotel or a motel, but the Rio Grande Hotel that we spent our summers at right there when you pull into Wildwood is now a miniature golf course.
Yeah.
And there, I've been able to see the transition in the buildings and how people are vacationing or living. But I mean, you've really experienced it living there year round.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely changed dramatically. I mean, the amount of hotel rooms are not quite what they used to be. So it's instead of you know, growing up, what'd you do? You packed a couple people in a hotel room with two beds. Now there's multiple families getting together, finding Airbnbs that have, three, four. I think what was the size of your condo
Oh
last
yeah,
year?
four
You get
floors, five
yeah,
bedrooms. It was
that's
great.
that's how you do it. You kind of just pack as many people in there, make it affordable. Not necessarily the hotel room vibe, but just as fun.
It's cool too, though, that I feel like they're, when we talk about things, whether it be fire service related, life related, and I guess this is definitely more life related, but that everyone's accepted that change down there too. You don't, I was sad when the Rio wasn't there anymore with its ugly teal green paint and little coffee shop and things like, oh, it's not there anymore. But I was happy to see other things appearing that keep people coming there, moving and evolving.
Yes, that change is one of them things, as we both know from the fire service. It's ready or not, it's coming. You have to embrace it and make the best of it.
And I'm sure there too, you have some folks that are totally against it in the town that just
Yeah,
want nothing to change, but it's never gonna work.
absolutely. There's definitely some of those people. Thankfully, they're not the majority. So you just kind of, yeah. I'm always been the kind of guy you hear all sides and let everyone kind of just come to an agreement. You don't necessarily have to agree with different opinions, but everyone has their own opinion. They're entitled to it, and you come to a resolution once they're all out on the table.
And there are definitely shore towns too that have not wanted to change, and some have succeeded and some have not in New Jersey. I mean, I'm sure it's this way in other states too, but there are a few places that have stayed that kind of the same as they've always been. But if you haven't started to advance and keep up with what folks want, you're just not going to make it anymore.
That's true. We could say that about a lot of things, but yeah, definitely, definitely, Jersey Shore is one of them.
For sure. I mean, even in Wildwood, the boardwalk rides are, you have some serious rides on the boardwalk in Wildwood, which, recently happened a little more closer to myself in Seaside, but that was because they lost their rides during Hurricane Sandy. When they
Yes.
rebuilt, they were able to build up. But, Wildwood has always had a larger attraction.
Yeah. I mean, like we just touched on that crazy big beach. I think it plays a huge factor as a buffer essentially from Mother Nature. Our rides are the best around, if you ask me, and they do. I mean, thankfully for the Moories, they have a huge maintenance staff. Those rides take a beating, but they do put up. They do last, and I think it has a lot to do with the geographical area and obviously the maintenance of them.
Yeah, I mean the big beach is definitely helping with keeping the water, from coming on the main road at least. You have a huge buffer as opposed to most
Yeah.
Jersey Shore towns that maybe have, I mean, if they have 50 yards of buffer, that's a lot until the water's hitting their main street. But the
Great
rides are
place to
out on the
work
pier.
out.
What's that?
It's a great place to work out too.
And it is a great place to work out. You know what I mean? That's another win for going to Wildwood on vacation. See, this could end up being like almost a wild go to Wildwood, even though we're going to talk about
Yeah,
Europe vacation, but you
yeah.
can work out right on the beach with Jim in Wildwood if you're a fitness buff.
Unofficial Wildwood ambassador. I'll take it.
Fitness, a Wildwood fitness ambassador. So Jim runs fitness classes out on one of the piers. However, there's stairs that lead to the beach. So most of his workouts take you from a little bit on the pier down to the sand, down to the water. I've experienced it a few times, and it's a good to get one workout in while you're on vacation, right?
Oh, it is. There's not. You really can't compare it to anything else. I talk about working out outside the box and everything. Well, I'll just briefly say how it got started was just the Murph Challenge itself. Like I never intended to have an outdoor fitness company at all. 10 years ago, a group of friends of mine, we decided to do the Murph Challenge. We took a couple 4x4s, carried them to the beach, post hole digger, put the whole thing together, banged out the Murph.
Workout
And
one was setting up Murph, and then workout two was Murph.
yeah, exactly. And as crazy as that was, it just kind of kept up year after year. And after that happened, I made more friends along the way. Groups kept getting bigger, and then before I know it, people were texting me and calling me saying, "Hey, do you want to work out up there? You know, not just the Murph." So here we go, progressing through the years. Before you know it, it's 1 day a week, 2 days a week, and now most most weeks of the summer we're up there three times a week. Anywhere from a group of 10 people. 4th of July weekend this year was 50 people, and it was just it's just great to see this many people who love to start their day challenging themselves. And then they go home. They go home with a smile. First, they come with a smile because they're on vacation, and they leave with an even bigger smile because they know that they just earned their Wildwood night. Is what I say. Whatever their choice is, you know, there's so many choices to choose from. But they started with getting strong in the morning, and it's just amazing.
It's so much fun too, and you're exactly right, because I don't even know how many times I've worked out with you there, and there's always groups, like I always get groups of people from different places, and
Yep.
everybody comes with their friends. There's always one friend that partied too hard the night before, and you could see it that they're like, I don't want to work out right now, but
Yeah.
it's like the best and worst peer pressure ever. And they made their mistake the night before, and then they
Yep.
get into it, and some succeeded, and some I remember specifically one person did not keep going in that workout we did one time. But it's good, and it's something that's so different, right? And when I tell people that, I'm like, yeah, we worked out. Like, oh, and they're like, oh, you went to a box or you went here. I'm like, nah, we were on the pier, like we were on the beach.
Outside. Yeah, so being outside, just embracing the whole environment, using the beach. I mean, just doing anything on the sand, jumping in the ocean at the end is incredible. I've had people with that positive peer pressure you just talked about. As amazing as this might or might not sound. Some people vacation to the beach and don't even like the beach. I found that very hard to believe that they spend big bucks to come down to vacation here, but they won't go to the beach. And after coming to my class, sometimes after class, they're like, that was the first time that I've ever been on the beach. I'm like, you just spent how many hundreds of dollars? I said, that's awesome. Way to get outside your comfort zone. And, you're more than welcome anytime. And I've met my best friends through Sea Level Strength, and I stay in touch with these people. And these people are now like huge beach lovers just because they had that pressure to go down to the beach to do a workout. They would never go down there and sit in a beach chair all day, but they're going to come down and have fun on the beach for an hour. And it was just kind of crazy.
I will not say the same for Mrs. Pip. She still hates the sand as much as she does prior to working out anything. She goes to the beach because we all love it, but she still hates
Yep.
the sand.
There's
Um,
there's a lot of them too. But like just being at the beach, sometimes we're at the pier. It's all good. Just
It's
kind of
great. I mean, it's just a great
handbags.
environment in the morning. The sea air is hitting you, and it's a little known fact that actually my first ever sandbag workout was with Jim on the pier in Wildwood.
I didn't
Uh,
even know that.
yeah,
First
that first one was when you were under the roller coaster,
on the roller coaster. Yeah.
and we did it was bar muscle ups, I think thrusters or push presses, and a run, and it was a partner workout.
Yes.
Um, and I thought I was this like badass CrossFit and fitness firefighter dude, and I loaded both fillers into the sandbag that I had just received, brand new, from the company there that gave me one, and halfway through the workout, I took the 25-pound filler out. I'm like, I'm gonna die. I'm like, I'm gonna die. I can't keep doing this. I have to lower the weight. And yeah, that was the first sandbag workout. I still have that red sandbag. It's in the garage.
Wow.
Yep, I saved that one.
I still have some of the sandbags that we used, so they
Yeah,
last really well.
they definitely do. And again, for you, and we've talked a lot about this over the years, and then people have heard me say this. A sandbag's just a great way to train. It's simple, it's safe. You can do a lot of things with them. And the overall price, your initial price layout versus the reward back is just amazing.
It's by far it's so durable, adaptable. feasible, you name it, to describe it. The hardest part for some people is just to grasp the concept of it. And once they touch it, they're like, wow, this is really cool. And dozens of people have bought them since, and I keep in contact with them, and they're doing workouts all over the country with them. It's pretty cool.
It's a
Um,
barrier to entry, like you just said. People are like, "What do you mean a fit?" Like there I was that day. I'm like
yeah,
a 75-pound sandbag. I do thrusters with a 95-pound barbell all the time. Look at me go! And then I threw 75 pounds of sand in, and was like, "This is not cool."
yep. I I tell everybody from the up on the boardwalk. I said, after we leave today, you can go home and tell all your family and friends that you literally brought sand to the beach. That doesn't happen too often.
All right, but so one more workout story, guys, and then we're gonna move on because this is not a fitness podcast, even though I talk a lot about fitness. But my favorite workout that you do is what you move how much sand from one, you just make people move sand from one side of the beach to the other, right?
Yes. So it's called the bulldozer. And it all depends on how they're feeling, their effort level of the day. They can either move 1,000 pounds of sand or 2,000 pounds of sand for 1 mile.
God.
So it sounds daunting, and it definitely is, but it's manageable, just like everything else in life, by taking bits and pieces of it. So we basically manage 1,000 pounds or 2,000 pounds of sands by one bucket at a time, and how high they fill that bucket. I'll map out how far we're going to go, and we just go through intervals of that for a duration. And people love that workout. They love after the workout. They're like, I can't believe I just moved a ton of sand. So it's just awesome. It's an awesome experience.
Yeah, I've yet to get to do it with you, but I really want to. I want to get down there one day when you do that one. It's almost like just let me know when it's going to happen because I've seen it for so many years and I'm like, it's so simply stupid. But it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's taking it a little bit at a time. And I think anything in life and fitness specifically too, everyone always wants fast rewards.
Uh,
And it's not going to happen in life. It's not going to happen in fitness. And it's just a little bit at a time.
Everyone's looking for the easy button, not just fitness, anything, everyone's looking for the hack. And bottom line is, the hacks don't work, the easy button doesn't work, and New Year's resolutions don't work.
It'll get you by. It'll definitely get you by, but on the long term, it's just not going to be there for you, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's something too that, being in the fitness industry for as long as we both have now, you see it over time, right? That the people that are consistent, it's the same as with the podcast. Weekly consistency is what's made this grow. My
Absolutely.
consistency, Sebi's consistency, the listeners' consistency. Same as with fitness, that little bit of consistency. You don't need to go full bore, but you need to keep moving forward.
100%.
And career wise, too, I think, and as young firefighters, when we were both young firefighters, we didn't realize that. I know I didn't. Maybe you had it in your mind, but I know I didn't.
No, absolutely not. There was no such thing as, you know, taking your time on anything. It was always 100%, 100% of the time. It was never gradual.
It's one of those things that the rookies say to you when you pull up to a fire and they're all amped up and moving like 80, 100 miles a minute. And I'm not saying sometimes I'm not either, but my 100 miles a minute looks so differently than theirs at this point. And they're like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know. And I've done this a few times. You know what I mean? Like once you do it a few times, you kind
Yep.
of get that feeling for it. It's the same almost with anything in life. Once you do something a few times, you can kind of move forward with it a little easier.
Oh, for sure. Experience. Definitely.
I mean that's a huge part of it, right? And trying to take that experience and keep growing with it. It's just that again, incremental growth, which I feel like this podcast talks about so much with all my guests, because that's how you've succeeded in life, right?
It's when you really think about that specific concept and you grasp that and you reflect on your life. Yes, it seems so simple, but you don't really think about it till almost, not that it's too late, but till you're able to look back on your progress. You don't think about it along the way, but
Yeah.
I feel like once you were able to see it, maybe I'm not saying it correctly,
No, you're
but
saying it 100%. You don't think about your incremental growth in the moment in any situation, right? I mean, I'll go right back to the podcast here. I feel like more often I'm like, no one's listening. The podcast is a failure. I'm a horrible host. But then I look back and I'm like, oh my God, we're at episode 49.
Yeah,
how do I keep doing this? You know, you don't even realize it. And I think that's in a lot of things. It's in parenting, marriage, career, fitness. You never realize it. And then when you do, you kind of got to smile for a minute.
absolutely.
Without a doubt. That's always a good thing. So 25 years, Sleepy Town firefighter, kind of, in Sleepy Town for 7 months out of the year, super busy the rest, the other months, right? Easy way to put it.
Yes and no. I mean, when you say sleepy town, we definitely don't have the volume of people, but we still do have the problems that the volumes would bring us to where the transient people were here. So we were pretty steady year round. We do run the BLS. So just like any other fire department, 70, just throwing numbers out there, but the majority of our calls were EMS related. So we were busy year round. Obviously, the call volume picked up in the summer, but we staffed for that. So as a year round firefighter, you're pretty much busy year round. You just can't share the workload with that seasonal staff. As probably somebody, I'm sure a lot of listeners probably can't even grasp that as a seasonal concept firefighter, but it's pretty common down here in this part of the state. It still works. It's probably not going to work forever, just like I said, because of that staffing. We just can't find the people to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And bigger long-term solutions are going to have to be made, I'm sure, with permanent staffing. With the volunteer firefighters, that's how I started. And I honestly, when I became a fireman, I thought I was going to be a volunteer fireman and be an architect or a builder. I had no intentions on having the best career, best job in the world. I thought was going to be, I wasn't even going to get paid for it. My mentor was my uncle, and he was a volunteer. Seeing him run out in the middle of the night, being a fireman, that's all I wanted to do. And shortly after high school, um, the first place that I rented, my landlord was a fireman. And I saw him leaving his house one day in uniform. I'm like, what is he doing? You can get paid to do this? So, yeah, so went through the testing process, and like I said, best job in the world. And it was just super amazing to be a part of it.
It's one of those things too when it's hard to think, like, you think about the seasonal, that folks don't want to do that as a seasonal career, because obviously there's a lot of training that goes into it, that's increased over the past 30 years and only increasing more. So why would you want to maybe do that to not have a guaranteed career? You're out chasing instead of chasing seasonal. And you see it the same with volunteerism too. I mean, that's on the decline everywhere in America right now, not just the fire service, but just volunteering to do anything. People don't have the time, can't not get paid is an easy way to put it. Every dollar counts. So it's going to be interesting to see in the future how entry into the fire service really starts to happen, because you don't have that chance to volunteer or be a seasonal firefighter anymore.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Every household now is a two-income house. So how do you expect people to volunteer for anything? If their passion is fire service, awesome. But there's so many other volunteer organizations out there that are suffering just like the fire service, just because of that reason. So the new barrier to entry, like you
The
said,
career fire service is almost suffering from that, because I mean, again, growing up with my father as a firefighter, if there was a recall fire, my father could have gone in because my mother was not working and stayed with me. That was
yeah,
what happened. My flip flop to me, if there was a recall fire, I'd be trying to see if my neighbors were home to see who could watch my kids, because I had my boys, because my
yeah,
wife was at work at the time. And it affects everything. And it's just that matter of how we're going to evolve and move forward.
yes, totally. You know, what's that one saying? I think I heard Frank Viscuzio say before: firemen hate. What are the two things firemen? What does he say?
Two things firemen hate:
Two
change
things.
and the way things are.
Exactly.
It's 100%. And
Yep.
again, too, like, you look at it, and we say it because we're firefighters, right? But that's life, man. Nobody
Yeah,
likes change. I
absolutely.
don't care what it is. And nobody likes the way things are. I don't care what
Yep.
it is.
Totally. As what you're totally right.
Look at social media and like your town, because I'm sure Wildwood, just like little Allentown, has a Facebook page, and just watch what people write on it. I'm like, you can't
Yes.
win no matter what.
And no, you can't keep everybody happy.
No, that is for sure. That's like the number one rule of politics.
Yeah, I don't. I'm glad I'm not involved in that.
Oh, I am beyond glad I'm not involved in it, but that's it. You can't keep everyone happy. I wouldn't say it's a number one rule of leadership because as a leader, it's not necessarily my job to keep you happy, let's say, but you want to try to keep people happy as well. Um, but that all comes into play with that attitude and how you're going to move forward. And you and I have talked a lot about that by learning things from people like Chief Viscuso and listening to Jocko and just different mentors along the way.
Absolutely. Um, that's key. That is key. Just finding good people like that and learning, learning those examples.
And
Um,
adapting them to you, right? Because I can't do everything the way Jocko does everything because I'm not him. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's not going to work for me. I don't wake up
trying,
at 4:30 in the morning. It doesn't
right.
happen.
Trying to figure out what works for you, then what works for this guy doesn't work for that guy. That's a big part that the biggest challenge is people skills, like anything else. Doesn't really matter. Fire service in your family, I have two sons. They're not how I deal with one son. I can't deal with my other son that way.
Yeah.
So it's like, just learning all that. Um, is
That's something too that you probably got to experience in a different way just because, I know what folks from, let's say, New Brunswick, New Jersey are mostly like. You know what I mean? Like I know the population, I know the neighborhoods, I know, when you work in a shore town like you did, you were dealing with people from all around the world, the
uh,
employees that would come in from other countries to work, people on vacation, just having to adapt to their whatever they have going on at the moment
culture.
had to be
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, definitely interesting and wide ranging. Put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's a really easy way to put it because people come from everywhere to go there.
yeah. Yep. And none of it's necessarily wrong by any means. It's just different. So trying to embrace that and make them as comfortable as possible was always a challenge.
Yeah, nobody wants to deal with any problems when they're on vacation. So that makes it even worse. Like
Sure.
that is for sure. But so speaking of vacations, this podcast was supposed to happen a few weeks ago because you took an epic. Was this like your official retirement trip? Are you calling it, or what was this spurred
So
on
yeah.
this epic road trip?
So this epic road trip wasn't even going to be a road trip. I'll just put it that way. So what happened was I retired from the fire department in May. Stayed around all summer. Stayed home. Didn't really do much traveling. Just did the sea level stuff. I work for Wildwood Crest, a neighbor in town, doing some building inspections, and I guess it was shortly after I retired. I saw this stand up paddleboard race that I wanted to do in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which was a 32-mile paddleboard race down the Tennessee River, which is a very daunting task.
That's not.
Um,
I mean, it's not short. I've
yeah.
stepped up paddleboarded like 100 yards a couple
Yeah.
times.
So my goal I trained all summer for was that race. And I've done other races. There's local races around the Cape. It's called around Cape May, which is about 13 to 15 miles. There's a race, the Dean Randazzo race around Atlantic City, which is like 22, 23 miles. So I really enjoy stand-up paddling for an endurance sport. Saw this one pop up. I got up at midnight because there was like a cutoff line. Like if you weren't signed up for this race by 12:05 with a midnight release, you weren't going to get in the race. So 600 people signed up for this race, and I was one of them.
Awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah. So that happened. I signed up for the race. I guess it was probably like a couple weeks later. My girlfriend says to me, "Do you want to do a half marathon?" And without even batting an eye, I just said yes. I didn't ask where, didn't really ask when. It was just like, hell yeah, let's do it. Anyone, you know me, I'm up for a challenge. Just throw it out there, and I'm going to make it work. And later that day or the next day, I told my oldest son what my plans were with them two races, and he's like, you realize that they're only like a week apart?" I said, "No, I didn't even realize that." One thing that happens as you retire is you kind of lose grasp of time and
Yeah.
don't even know what day of the week it is most times. We're definitely date. So therefore, when I signed up for these races, I had no idea that they're a week apart. And um, once I did find that out, I was like, wow, this is a week apart. I've always wanted to drive, across country. I didn't think I mentioned where this half marathon was in Moab, Utah. So My plan,
Tennessee first, then Utah.
yeah.
Plan.
So my plan is this is going to be great. I'm going to drive from here to Utah and that do these two races and have a heck of a trip. Well, the first logistical hurdle was to get my stand-up paddleboard to Tennessee and then back to New Jersey so I can keep going. Thankfully, I had a good friend, Kate from Tom's River. She graciously loaded my paddleboard up and took it back to New Jersey so I can continue my trip west.
That's a win.
Yeah, so the trip, that was the first hurdle. Like as soon as that went down, I figured that out. I was like, oh, this is definitely going to happen. So like a month out, I decided to really plan it out, figure out some loose plans along the way, and just commit to the road trip. Which is what I did, and jumped on the road, did that stand-up paddleboard race. It took 6 very long, hot hours.
So were you going? So I've seen stand-up paddleboard races like you have done around the island and things, but if you're on the river, are you always going downstream or how?
Yeah, technically, yes.
Okay.
We definitely had current, but as luck would have it, there wasn't much current that day. So it was kind of like dead water.
Oh,
Yeah. So sometimes this race could be super fast, and sometimes this race could be super slow. Sometimes this race can be 80 degrees, and other times it can be snowing. So literally, when you pack for this race, you have to pack for it all, which is what I did. And as grueling as it was, I was super happy. I was prepared for hot weather because that's what I train in all summer. So I was thankful for that. I wasn't freezing. My toes weren't cold or my hands weren't numb from the cold air. But it was super hot, and it was awesome. I would do it again in a heartbeat. The race was amazing. Tennessee River. I'm used to seeing beachfront and going down 32 miles down the Tennessee River, just seeing mountains and stuff was just an epic.
I'm gonna say the view had to be epic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just not to mention, like I said, there was over 500 people in this race. So it was just like, various watercrafts. They weren't all stand-up paddleboards. There were some prone paddlers, which you're on your hands. Or I'm sorry, you're usually laying down, using your hands to paddle. So if you think stand-up paddling is hard, yeah.
Yeah, I've paddled out into the surf before. That's enough. Just a little bit out, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing it on the river.
Yeah, there's different styles of boats, anywhere from 3 to, I think there was like some vessels that were like big rowboats of like 10 people or more. So when you heard them coming, you better get out of the way because
I was going to say you're moving. That's like when you're doing a try and then the person with zip wheels is coming behind you on the bike and you're like, let me move over to the right because I can hear them coming and this is going to hurt if we hit.
Yep.
So, is it kind of like a race like that too for the folks that like me who've never done it, but now I'm of course intrigued. Or is it kind of like when you're in like a marathon or half marathon, you're talking to the folks next to you, are you more in your own zone? Let me not fall off the boat.
So this is a little bit of both. This is one of the few races where you're allowed to what's called draft. And they actually have draft trains where as you're paddling, you're going to find some guys and girls that are in your around the pace that you're at. So as long as they're going your pace, you can literally jump in directly right behind them. Think race cars, how close they get to each other. And you can literally go as long as you can hang with that pack for as long as you decide to go. So yeah, there's a little bit of chatter and fun times along the way. But for me, I didn't do any drafting because I've never done it before.
I was going to say, it seems a little, if you don't know what you're doing with that, I feel like people aren't going to like you.
Yeah, I didn't think they wouldn't like me, but I just didn't really find any. I couldn't come across a pack long enough that I felt like I could stick with this pack.
Gotcha.
So then my mission became to just catch these packs and pass them. So I would see a pack coming, then I'd be like, yes, I just beat all them guys. Now I got to go catch the next one.
Yeah.
It kind of like made the time go by because 6 hours got pretty long. As scenic as it was, it definitely was a grueling day.
It's such a great mentality that people, when you do longer races like a marathon or a half marathon, I'm picking people off left and right. Like I see somebody and they could be the nicest person in the world, but in my head, they're my enemy. And I have to get past that person before even sometimes I'll do it before a certain spot. I want to get past you before I get to this spot or something, just for mental mind games.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just talked about it briefly earlier. It's just them smaller, you look at that monumental task and you just chip away at it. So that what those groups of people meant to me was just, okay, check that off. Now it's the next, check that off. And it's just, you just kind of, incrementally get to the finish line, the next checkpoint. Not necessarily, I wasn't looking at the finish line. Hell, I couldn't even see it, but just knowing that I was still going, checking them boxes or passing them people along the way. It's just enough to keep you kind of motivated.
A lot of spectators. Is that a spectator sport?
So there was, but it wasn't for 32 straight
Yeah.
miles. It's different vantage points. And thankfully, the crew that I was with, they were very, very seasoned. They had all, like, I literally was so lucky to find this crew, Kate and there were so many people that I just jumped in with them. They knew the vantage points. They had people cheering for us along the way. And it's just one of them things. So your first year, you're probably not going to find those places to cheer your friends or family on, because you're just kind of getting the lay of the land.
Yeah.
So,
oh, dude, the first time you do anything big like that, like I ran the Disney Marathon, and my pregnant wife and sister at it's 5 a.m. for the Disney Marathon. It's like the kickoff start, or 4:30 in the snow in Orlando, Florida, because it snowed when I ran the Disney Marathon, because that's what always happens, right? I never saw them the entire race.
oh yeah,
Never. They were in like 6 or 7 vantage points. I never heard them. I never saw them. We had stuff set up. I couldn't find them. My brother-in-law, not even kidding you, walked out of his hotel room, stood for 5 minutes, and high-fived me as I ran by him. And then there's pregnant Tracy, like really pregnant Tracy, like not even yet, never saw her.
It's not easy being a spectator. As proud as I am as my accomplishments, my son is a 2-time Ironman, and when I jokingly say it's not easy being a spectator, because as hard as it is to be an Ironman, trying to keep up with them, figure out the racetrack and all that stuff. Super proud and super happy to be there to be able to cheer him on.
It's pretty awesome too, and we're gonna throw Jim's Instagram up here at the end and things, like I always do. But just give him a follow, because his boys are doing awesome stuff. He's doing awesome stuff, and it's that thing that keeps me motivated. Is watching other people be motivated about other people, if that makes sense. So like watching Jim with his oldest son, and actually,
too.
And your youngest is now into it too. But I know your oldest did the Ironman stuff, because we were actually gonna go and catch him. I did a mud race in Wildwood with my boys, and showered at your house, and we were trying to get to Atlantic City to catch your son, and you're texting me like, "Yo, he's almost done. Don't even try to get here."
Yeah,
but that kind of stuff is so motivational to me.
Absolutely. Like I've always said, and we'll get back to the trip in a second, because I love talking about my boys more than anything in the world. Pressure's a privilege to me. I don't say that lightly. Raising men is not an easy task, and to be able to raise men, I've always wanted my men to be stronger, faster, smarter, and kinder than I ever was. So the pressure that for their whole life to be that is now coming back to me. So now I've always raised them that way, to be better than I could ever be. And now it's getting back to where they're now pressuring me to keep up with them. So like kind of one hand washes the other. And it's just amazing to see what my sons have accomplished with the Ironman. My youngest son was on the beach patrol, and now he's going to enlist in the Coast Guard.
Awesome.
So, you hear a lot of people all the time talk about that next generation is the problem. And I don't agree with that at all.
We were the problem. People said we were the problem.
Exactly.
We were the next generation, right?
I always tell everybody, before you want to deflect on anybody, look in the mirror. Look what you've done for that generation, and tell me you've done your part before you start complaining about a generation. And a lot of times people walk away from me because it's a hard part to look in the mirror.
Yeah, no, it's one of the hardest things to do, and especially with statements like that, where like, yeah, we were going to be the generation. MTV was going to ruin everything. Nintendo was going to ruin everything. Xbox was going to ruin everything. Now TikTok and Instagram are going to, it's just that cycle just continues, and when you're raising children, like your boys are a little older than mine, so I'm definitely taking life lessons from you, watching you online and things. But it's that trying to, like you said, like pressure them to be stronger, faster, kinder than I ever was. And I really hope I get that in reciprocation when they do become men, that I'll be in that stage of retirement like you, and come on boys, it's your turn to push dad now.
Yeah, It until you're there, it's very it's humbling. You're I'm so grateful for it, and just to see the efforts kind of pay off is just you know it's I'm just happy, super thankful for
And
sure.
and your little guy, he doesn't have to go too far for the Coast Guard training center, so he's
Yeah,
just it's in his backyard pretty much. So.
exactly. Well, the funny thing about that, and I know we got sidetracked here, but he has to go up. I have to drop him off to a bus in Philadelphia,
To come all the way back to go
all
to
the
the
way back
training center.
down to 5 minutes from our house, and get on the other side of the Coast Guard the fence there, and not see him for several weeks. So
Good for
um,
him though.
he's,
That's awesome, man.
yeah,
It's just those things that you like to hear too. You like to hear, young people succeeding and kind of moving their lives forward and whatever they want to do.
yep,
Like I know your older son when he was doing some job stuff, we were talking back and forth, and just seeing him being happy about that and happy about the Ironman success. It's just
yeah,
so great for anyone.
absolutely, and just having that that mindset to embrace the challenge, to see a task. You know, when I was in my 20s, there's no way in the world I could do an Ironman, to see that task that he was able, and we're going to talk about it again here real fast, but a task that is so huge to be able to break it down into manageable sections and to do it. When I say I did a stand-up paddleboard race, I did it essentially for fun and for an excuse to train that much. He is training so hard that he's trying to get to Kona next year. So like
Yeah.
he's a whole nother level of commitment that I was never at in any way, shape, or form for stuff like that. So I'm just super proud to see all that come to fruition.
There was a while where I thought I would try to be an Ironman. And then I did a triathlon and was like, nah, nah, I'm good. Like I really like running. I like biking. The swimming just was not my thing. Like it
Yeah,
was just not, and I was so dejected after the swim that I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna go back to this other stuff. Like maybe stand up paddleboarding could be my thing someday, though.
it's absolutely.
Hopefully Tracy doesn't listen to this part because she's gonna be like, you don't need any more things. You're done. So you do the stand up paddleboard race, then
Yes.
you jump in the car and you head from Tennessee to Utah alone,
Yes. Look at
or
Scenic Route. Yes. So basically, I was by myself for an entire week. The stand up paddleboard race was Sunday. As soon as the race got done, I felt like I just did a 6 hour race. I felt like crap, but I was not hurt. I was still able to recover. I was like, yes, I made the commitment right there. I text my sister saying, I'm coming to Mississippi tomorrow to see. So she was completely surprised. It was not planned. I told her loosely that I possibly could. I said, but I told her what was ahead of me that, if this race doesn't go well, there's a good chance that I might not make it to your house. So she was
not
super.
meaning like death, just meaning like I may be way too sore to do anything the next day.
Yeah, exactly. Not even so, but yes, exactly. So the race went great. I was able to recover well. Jumped in the car the next day. It was about 6 hours south to a town just on the Mississippi border of New Orleans, and I stayed with her for 2 days. I was never able to see her house. She's been down there for over 10 years, so just seeing her house was awesome. Seeing the family down there was great. Southern hospitality at its best. It really is. Experience it firsthand. I recommend it to everybody. So I kind of went south from there, all the way down Chattanooga, but then I cut across through Texas. From her house, I went to originally my plan was to go to Austin, Texas, and stop at Joe Rogan's Comedy Club
Okay.
and catch a show that midweek, that Tuesday night. Unfortunately, because I didn't commit to buying the tickets ahead of time, the show was sold out.
Oh,
So yeah, I was so bummed. And looking at social media the next day, the people that were there were like Joe Rogan, Tim Kennedy, like his whole crew was there
oh,
watching
that's why
this.
it's sold out probably. But
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was during the week there they have kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with it at all. With this club, it's kind of like entry level guys that you might have a headliner pop in and every now and then, but it's typically not. So that's what I was looking forward to, but that didn't work out. So I just went a little bit further north and stopped in Fort Worth, and that town was amazing. There was section of the town. It's called the Stockyards. I don't know if you have ever been there at all.
I've not been, but
You
so
have?
the 555 founder is from Fort Worth. He's a Fort Worth fire captain. So I
Oh,
heard a
okay.
lot of things about Fort Worth. I've never been though, but I want to someday. That's on the list.
Yeah. So it was a fun city, and they literally had a cattle drive through the cobblestone streets. So I saw a real live cattle drive down the street right outside my hotel window. I stayed there for I think I stayed there for 2 nights just because of when I arrived. And then from there, I headed through Texas up to Amarillo. I think I stayed, yeah, Amarillo, Texas. I think it was Amarillo, yeah. I found this place called the Palo Duro Canyon, which I thought was amazing. Like, I'm driving down the street or the highway, and then all of a sudden, you'll see like a canyon. So there wasn't really much elevation, I should say.
Okay.
It was essentially a canyon where you'd see like this humongous canyon, and I'm thinking, wow, that was huge. So of course, I went there, spent the day there. I hiked I found a trail like a 7 mile trail. I did find some mountains, and took some epic pictures, and I hiked there, and that was great. After there, I went north from Texas, went right through Colorado, or no, I'm sorry, right through New Mexico. I didn't stop there. As I'm driving through Colorado, this place called this city, Manitou Springs. I'm looking up the side of this one mountain. And by the way, as you're coming
Oh,
from
the
Texas,
incline.
the incline. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
So coming from Texas, what you thought were big mountains were not big at all. As you start going north, they get really big. And that was just really cool. Coming from south to north, it was just like, holy shit, these are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they were big. I see this at Manitou Springs. I'm looking at the one side of this mountain, and it looks like it's just a straight cut, a vertical cut up the side of this mountain. I'm thinking, what is that? So I took the exit, found out what it was. It was a legit set of stairs that was called the Manitou. I might be butchering
Manitou
the
incline.
name of the
Manitou
city.
incline, I
It's called
think.
the Manitou. Yeah, Manitou Incline was essentially what it is. It's a 2,000-foot climb up. It's from 5,500 feet, I think it was, to 7,500 feet, 1 mile long. So that was my first task in Colorado. Zero level to 5,500 feet. My first couple steps up those set of steps were quite challenging. My heart rate was very hard to recover. Skyrocketing. I'm looking down at my watch, and I'm thinking, I'm only walking here. My heart rate is like
Oh,
180.
dude,
This is
elevation
not
training.
very.
Elevation training is the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life, in my
Yeah.
opinion, at least. Oh
I
boy, I lost you. You there?
experienced it firsthand. Now I can totally. You there?
Yeah, you're freezing a little bit all of a sudden now. I don't
You
know why.
back?
You got me? I got you.
Yeah.
Oh no. No, we made it this long.
You're cutting off a little bit.
Yeah, you're starting to, I don't know. Everything here on my end is fine because I get a message that says I have a bad
You
signal.
back?
Yep, I'm here. You there?
I'm here.
I can
It
hear
says that I
you.
have signal.
Yeah, you're just not, you're coming in and out a little bit. We'll keep going and we'll see what happens.
You can't see it though.
No, you're good now. You're back. Can you see
All
me?
right.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good. So you did the incline and you got wrecked, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It was quite the adjustment to the height. It was awesome though. Like, it was very intimidating seeing that from the side of the road. And then once I got up there, it was awesome. Just it was a perfect Colorado welcome.
Nice. Nice, nice. And then from there, you ended up doing the half in Utah after that?
Yeah. So from there, I picked up my girlfriend that following Friday at Denver International, and from there we went up and went to the Moab, Utah from there. So it was a little bit further north from Denver, and spent a few days there. That half marathon, again, coming from sea level, I felt like I was on another planet. Moab, if you've never been, if it looked like Mars to me. The the scenery, it was just I'm trying to run a half marathon and not trip over my chin because I'm looking at things that I've never been able to see before, and it was just epic.
It's actually on
And
my
almost
list of marathons to run is Moab. Just like Big Sur, I have a list like Paris. I
yeah,
was really into marathoning. I should probably do that again.
I highly recommend it. It was
Yeah.
I did not prepare correctly for that one either. I set my camelback back with my stand up paddleboard, thinking it's only half a marathon. They're going to have some rest stations. I'm not going to need a camelback. And about a half hour into the race, I regretted not having a camelback. um,
Yeah, definitely some elevation change probably to deal with, right?
oh, elevation change, and not just the change of the elevation, but it was essentially if you can envision a half marathon, a Spartan race, and a Tough Mudder all in one, like but with all natural elements. That's what that half marathon is. So what should have taken me closer to 2 hours was I actually took me 3.5. I think it was closer to 4 hours to complete, just because of the challenges.
Maybe I don't want to do that one.
No, do it. Just prepare for it. Just do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Just be ready. Just be ready for all the challenges.
How was the time? Because you picked up your girlfriend there, and it's something I've never really done. I've never vacationed alone. How was that? Like being on your own, just going.
I spent a lot of time reflecting, and it was something that I've never hell I've never been in a car for, like I said, my commute was a bicycle for 4 minutes to work. There was a lot of voices that were going through my head of my own. Listening to a lot of podcasts. Uh, Podcasts to go to pass the time was the go to.
And I mean, it's cool to be out there. Like, it's something that you think about. Like, I think everybody wants to do it, and you actually went out and did it and had a blast.
Yeah, and I think the way that was so loosely planned, that I don't know if you could do that with many. I mean, you could probably do it with one person, but you probably couldn't do that as like a family. Like I
Yeah.
literally had a plan. It was just kind of like I'm going to go drive 6 hours, 7 hours, and pick a spot to uh to fall asleep.
Yeah,
So
no, definitely not I mean, if you're on your own, you do what you want. And I think that's one of the cool parts about it, where you get kind of lost in your thoughts, where
yes,
I definitely, we as a family want to do like a Western swing type thing,
yeah,
or like a Northwestern swing, and then we want to do the whole coast in California at some point. Um, but that would have to be planned because there's just no
yes,
way the four of us, it wouldn't last long in a car if we
yeah.
didn't have a plan. And it's funny because part of this, when we were talking about doing this episode, you were like, "Oh, I want to hear about your trip to Iceland."
I was
And
just going to say, all right, enough about my trip.
so we're right around that hour mark though. But what I can tell you, and I don't think I've done this yet. This will be the first time that episode 50, Finn is going to be my guest, my son Finn. And a large portion of that episode is going to be about Iceland.
Oh,
So
good.
if you tune in next week, you'll
Yes.
hear all about our Iceland trip. And right now,
Iceland's going through some challenges right now, right? They got a volcano.
the volcano that started erupting basically the day after we left Iceland was when the evacuation started.
Oh, wow.
We had been warned about it prior to going, obviously warned about it when we were there. And yeah, the day after we flew out, they started evacuating the Blue Lagoon and then Grindavik, which has been evacuated for over 30 days now. But they're hoping that now that the volcano has erupted, they may be able to start to get back,
Okay.
because that was the issue, is that the volcano there, it's lava flowing underground. So think about like our sewage system, except that is all lava. And they didn't know where it was going to erupt. It's not like a volcano that has a top that's going to blow.
Wow.
So it
I'll take my hurricanes.
Yeah, so my buddy who's a firefighter there is sending me video last night and pictures from his house. And I'm like, so are you going to have to respond? And he's like, well, they haven't said yet, but if it starts to affect homes, we may just go set up portable monitors just to try to cool the lava. And I'm like thinking, like, imagine that you're setting up a portable monitor just to cool lava. And is it really going to work? Like, think
Yeah.
about how many times you've set up a deck gun and the house is on fire and the water's barely making the droplets are barely making the house because it's so hot. Like, how does that work with lava? Because there's just no way. Oh no, now you really froze.
I was going to say, how
Oh, I lost you. You there? We may have to boost up our internet.
there?
Yep, now I got you. You're back. It's hard to
There?
say. It's hard to say if it's you or me at this point.
Huh.
Hmm.
Mine looks like it's got all the bars,
Yeah, I
like on
have
the.
them all too. This is the weirdness, you know. I think like the real deal, like professional podcasts, they send people things so this doesn't happen.
Yeah,
The size
like
up the National
things.
Fire Radio aren't here yet.
Yeah.
But if anybody wants to sponsor us with one of these things to make it so the internet doesn't freeze for our guest, I will gladly talk about how awesome it is if it works. So feel free to send that my way. All right, let's see if we can hit. We're going to hit these size up 10 and we'll see how far we get. And if not, we could always do it at a later date, right?
Let's do it.
All right, so 10 quick questions. The beach or the mountains? It's going to be a hard one for you.
Beach.
Okay, well, I figured with your recent time in the mountains, you may have changed your mind.
Honestly, when I came back to the beach, the smell of the ocean was amazing. Like I legit missed the ocean.
It's like the movie, not The Outsiders, The Warriors. You got to go back to the ocean.
I do have I enjoy the ocean. Or I'm sorry, I enjoy the mountains, not just running them, but snowboarding with my boys and everything. That's a huge part of my life. But living by the ocean, second to none.
Nice. A night out or a night in?
Anymore in
A good book or a good movie?
book for sure. Just finished one.
Cross country road trip, which you pretty much just did by yourself. But who would your celebrity co pilot be if you got one?
Celebrity. Huh. Would it have to be a celebrity? I guess it'd be famous to me.
Famous to you, yeah.
Yeah. I've been on a Huberman podcast kick. So
Who is
listening to
it?
him has Huberman.
Huberman. Okay, we'll have to
Yeah,
check him out. I don't know who that is. So
yeah. He's check him out. It's very science. It's very science. It's very in depth science on psychology and human performance and stuff like that. So if I could spend some time with him in a car, that'd be pretty cool.
cool. All right, we'll check him out. Huberman. Do you make your bed every day? I know this answer.
Yes.
Of course you do. $1 million right now, or you get to go back to 18 with a redo.
No, I'll take the.
I knew you'd be taking the million.
Yeah.
Because
This is
you
the
could do
best
so much.
part. Yeah, I'm viewing retirement as an encore chapter. This is the best. We had the best job in the world. Being able to retire so young and not be injured. I'm in the best shape of my life, mentally and physically, and looking forward to the next chapter. So I'm calling it the encore. So I would definitely not want to go back and change anything.
I like the encore. You know, you may just change the name of the podcast. I had something else in mind, but I like the encore. So we'll see. All right, remember, after all your driving, this is a good one for you. Highways or back roads? Which one do you take?
Oh, geez. I still don't enjoy driving, so I'm taking the highway.
See, I figured you'd be like, I'm more laid back. I'll go with the back roads, like beach dude, like taking the back roads. But I can see that if you don't like driving, just get where I gotta go.
Give me the bicycle.
A bucket list place to visit.
Bucket place. Um, Honestly, I think I can't really pick just one, but after seeing the Moab and the arches, that national park there, I want to see them all.
That's a good
So
one.
I would just say the national parks in general.
Yeah, that dude, there's so many amazing ones. And two, when I was younger, I didn't even think I'd ever be saying that. But now I want to go see them all. I want to see all those
Yeah,
things. Oh, and that
absolutely.
was a cool part of Iceland. Finn and I will get into it, but Iceland, it was such an amazing landscape. And I was telling the boys, I'm like, we have amazing landscape in our own country. We have to go see it. Just haven't done it yet.
Yeah. Honestly, I've always been told that too. And until you see it with your own eyes, pictures don't do it justice. And everyone loves to travel abroad. And honestly, not to say that I won't travel abroad, but after seeing what's here, I'm going to take full advantage of what's here as much as possible.
Yeah, there's some amazing spots out there. All right, two more questions. Football or football?
Football.
The American one?
Yes.
All
So
right,
my youngest son likes soccer, but he's a football fan as well, an Eagles fan. But like my oldest son, so my oldest son played American football. My youngest son played uh, football.
football. Football. Bad couple weeks for the Eagles fans, but at least you're
Yeah,
not a Giants fan. So we had a good run with our Tommy Cutlet. So he got us
yeah,
through a
yeah,
couple wins. All right, last question, buddy.
exactly. It's gonna go
The
ahead.
best advice you could give to your younger self.
Best advice I could give to my younger self: slow down.
I like it. I do like
Slow
that one.
down. Yeah,
I think that's a good way too to go into your encore chapter of life here, right? You just slow down a little bit and stop and smell the roses more than you ever did in the past.
yep. Slow down and be present. I guess I could add to that.
Awesome, buddy. Well, listen, I cannot thank you enough for the time today. This has been a great catching up for us because we haven't seen each other since my vacation this past summer. So we gotta
Yeah,
definitely try to meet somewhere in the middle in Jersey here in the next couple of winter
absolutely.
months for it.
Sounds good.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, you have a great Christmas.
You too.
Everybody, well, actually, Christmas will be over by this part. So I'm just saying that because you're my friend, because have a great Christmas next week, even though when this comes out. But again, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to all the sponsors. 2023 has been a great year. I'm super stoked for episode 50 because I get to have my man Finn sitting next to me and just kind of chatting with him about life and seeing what he's got going on. Because he's been wanting to come on an episode, and I don't necessarily know why.
That's
So it'll be
awesome.
interesting. It'll be a lot of fun the next one. So not that this one wasn't a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But
I'm looking forward to hearing about ice.
awesome, man. Yep, definitely going to be a lot of Iceland talk in episode 50. So thanks again, everybody, for listening. Thanks to Jim for the Size Up by National Fire Radio. This has been Pip. And remember, it's because what you do off the job matters.
National Fire Radio.